Hello everyone, this is Jason from Primetime Aquatics, and today I wanted to talk about the goldfish tank that you see behind us in some of our videos. These goldfish happen to come from an institution that could no longer care for them. They actually used feeder goldfish to teach students about respiration, and they required those fish to be relatively small, and so they took care of them, and as they would get older they'd get a little bit larger, and they didn't have the space to take care of these larger goldfish. And so I offered to take them, and they happily agreed to do that. And so now we've got these 5 fish in a 40-gallon breeder. So I wanted to talk a little bit today about how we care for them and some of the common misconceptions about goldfish. So these fish, one of the nice things about keeping goldfish is that they can be in a tank that's typically not heated, as long as you have a room temperature somewhere in the upper 60s. And this room, for the most part, stays at between 68 and 70 degrees. And so that's definitely an advantage, that we don't have to have a heater. Now, one thing I will say is, while these are feeder goldfish, it's not really something I would recommend to go out and buy feeder goldfish and keep them as pets, just because they're not really bred for that purpose. In fact, their primary purpose is to be fed to other fish. And I don't even recommend that, because sometimes they have disease, things like ick, or maybe they have an internal parasite. And if you feed those fish to your larger fish, they may in turn get some of those diseases as well. And so it's not something I would typically recommend. These fish happen to get a little bit larger, and as you can see, they look fantastic. They have nice long flowing fins, and they've got great color, and they're really nice to look at. I mean, they don't really, in terms of their temperament, they don't fight with one another. They're not, vying for territory or anything like that. And so I constantly find myself looking at this tank just because it's so relaxing. The other nice thing about goldfish is they're relatively hardy, and so they make a good, in some cases, they make a good first fish for a lot of people. But you really can't put them in a bowl. No fish really belongs in a fish bowl. In fact, goldfish in particular require a decent amount of water volume. And so often it's recommended, even for a single goldfish, to have it in a 20-gallon tank. And then if you're going to keep additional goldfish, you usually want to add 10 to 20 gallons of water per goldfish after that point. Now this tank, you can see we've got 5 goldfish in a 40-gallon breeder. And so just by my own standards, this tank might be a little bit overstocked. To combat that, my son and I, we do water changes in this tank twice a week. And we empty out about 50% of the water to keep the nitrates low and to keep the fish healthy. So one of the common misconceptions about goldfish is that they're messy, and we just haven't found that to be true. In fact, if you look at the gravel in this tank, you'll notice that the gravel is incredibly clean. And we don't gravel vac this stuff. The goldfish keep it clean because they're constantly sifting through the gravel. The bristle nose that we have in here keeps the glass clean. And Luke and I, we do the bi-weekly water changes where we empty out about 50% of the water per week to keep the water clean. And so the combination of those 3 things really keeps the tank looking good. But goldfish are easy to feed. We primarily feed them flake foods and some pellets. And every once in a while, we'll give them a treat of some frozen brine shrimp as well. And so that's a nice thing about goldfish, is that they are relatively easy to feed. Now, in terms of filtration, one of the reasons why we don't want to keep goldfish in a fish bowl is that they do need biological filtration. They produce a decent amount of ammonia, which then needs to be converted into nitrite and nitrate. And so it's important that we have, in this case, we have sponge filters in the tank that take care of all of that waste. And originally we had one sponge filter here, and it was keeping up with the biological waste, but because the goldfish would sift through the gravel so often, the water was a little cloudy. And so to combat that, we added a second sponge filter, and since we've done that, things look a lot nicer, as you can see. So again, I just wanted to give you a little update about what we were looking at here and what you see behind us in some of the videos that we shoot. These are our goldfish, and we like looking at them. They're a fun fish to have. Again, I don't recommend buying breeder feeder goldfish to keep as pets. If you're going to keep goldfish, you might as well choose a goldfish that's really been bred, that has better genetics perhaps. These fish look good, but I would say for every one of these, you'd probably have 25 or 30 that maybe aren't up to what you see here. So if you like this video, subscribe. We're going to be shooting some more videos on species profiles. We're going to be looking more at the fish room and some of the things that we do here. Some more tips on breeding, as well as some more tips on how to save money when you're keeping multiple tanks. So thank you for watching, and we'll see you in the next one.